The chairman of Toyota claims that because of electric cars, millions of jobs will be lost in the automotive industry. Now, of course, he's referring to direct and indirect jobs. And of course, he's probably more referring to jobs being lost in Japan because the Chinese are the ones making the electric cars. But here's the full story. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Now, I personally can understand where he's coming from because it's true the Japanese automotive industry, well, the Japanese country as a whole relies on the automotive industry more than any other country. The automotive industry in Japan is crucial to Japan's economy. Now, of course, China is the world's largest producer of electric cars. Japan doesn't make very many. And therefore, the chairman of Toyota, which is really essentially the CEO of Toyota, is saying that a shift to an EV-only future will spell enormous job losses. A shift to an electric vehicle future would cause huge job losses. And one of the reasons he says is because of the engine-related technologies, including the many suppliers in the engine sector. Specifically, I'm guessing he's referencing companies in, say, Europe and the United States and in Japan and the Western world that make engines. There are 5.5 million people involved in the automotive industry in Japan alone. Among them are those who have been doing engine-related work for a long time. So 5.5 million people employed directly in the automotive industry alone. What they say, economists say, is that one automotive industry job indirectly employs 10 other people. So that means that there is essentially 55 million people in Japan who are working directly or indirectly in the automotive industry. So I think his claim that millions of jobs will be lost in, well, he doesn't say what country, but we can infer that he's referencing in Japan, is actually pretty accurate. If electric vehicles simply become the only choice, including for our suppliers, those people's jobs would be lost, he said, adding he liked gasoline vehicles and engines. Toyota is the world's largest automaker in the world by sales, but their sales have declined for 7 straight months in a row. And they've been very cautious when it comes to electric cars, investing in electric cars. And the reason is because they still believe the future of the automotive industry is hydrogen. Their latest technology is hydrogen fuel cell capsules, like a replaceable capsule, and you can carry them with you in your car if you want to carry those with you, if you're brave enough to do that, and replace them when needed. Now, Reuters says that because Toyota hasn't gone all in on EVs, that is helping it currently as global EV sales have slowed. Well, obviously Reuters once again is misinformed because globally electric car sales have actually increased this year by 31%. That is enormous. So that's one of the reasons why Toyota sales have actually declined for 7 straight months in a row. For some bizarre reason, I mean, I'm sure you can probably tell. Jump on Reuters' website and you'll see some advertising from various companies who probably pay them. Reuters is kind of trying to cash in on this headline that EV sales are slowing down, when in fact they're not. Now, Toyota, of course, says that a multi-pathway strategy is needed for zero carbon emissions because there's not enough lithium in the world to make all cars electric. Now, of course, that's completely false. There's more than enough for every single car to be electric. In fact, based on the world's current estimates, we have enough lithium globally to make only EVs for the entire automotive industry for at least the next 50 years. But all of that lithium can be recycled. And of course, much of the automotive industry will move towards sodium batteries. So we don't necessarily have to be reliant on lithium or precious metals, which is what Toyota claims. But that's really more of a scare campaign, scare tactics anyway. Now, Toyota's multi-pathway strategy means that, Toyota can keep on doing what it's doing, keep on selling hybrids, plug-in hybrids, diesel-powered vehicles, a small number of electric cars, and keep on making lots of money. And of course, Toyota doesn't want that to stop. And that's why it's threatening governments, saying that millions of jobs will be lost in order to kind of scare them into not encouraging EVs or not incentivizing EVs. In January, Toyota said that EVs would at most account for 30% of the global auto market. At most. Some of Toyota's employees actually have contradicted that statement. Last week, the CEO of Toyota here in Australia said that eventually EVs would account for 40% of the global auto market. Now, I'm not sure if his bosses in Japan heard that, but yeah, different CEOs of different Toyota regions around the world have made all different claims. But the global CEO says EVs will never account for more than 30% of the global auto market. Well, analysts believe that we will hit 30% about the middle of next year, and therefore it's probably likely by 2030 we'll hit around 60, possibly 80%. So obviously that would be interesting to see what Toyota's CEO has to say when that happens. Now, Toyota made the comments to reporters at the unveiling of a likening of his father statue of Soichiro Toyota at the Nagoya University in central Japan. The elder Toyota, or the former CEO, died aged 97 last year, and he led Toyota during the 1980s when the company reshaped the global automotive industry. They disrupted Detroit's dominance. He also oversaw the launch of the luxury brand Lexus and, of course, the Prius hybrid. Now, he'd probably be turning over in his grave if he knew what the current bosses of Toyota are doing to the company. Because think about it. If everything stayed the same, which is what Toyota hopes it will, then Toyota themselves never could have disrupted the global automotive industry back in the early 80s, which they did. I mean, remember, people used to say, I'm never going to buy a Japanese vehicle. All of that changed. Now people say, I'm never going to buy a Chinese vehicle. Well, pretty good chance that at some point that will change as well. Keep in mind, the fastest growing automaker world or country worldwide when it comes to exports, car exports, is China. In fact, China now exports significantly more cars than Japan. Now, I understand the fear from Toyota here. There's a lot of automakers, I mean, the Volkswagen Group, Mercedes, BMW, General Motors, Ford, everyone is afraid of Chinese automakers. Everyone is now becoming more and more afraid of electric cars. It doesn't mean they're not good for us though. Zero emissions are obviously good for everyone. Making the air that we breathe clean and having electric cars that can be charged by the sun is really a great scenario. But of course, Toyota themselves are not really interested in what's good for the planet or for the environment. They're more interested in profits. Corporate profits drive the business, which is understandable. I mean, that's the same for most businesses worldwide. Getting back to the original point here, millions of jobs will be lost. The fact that Toyota's CEO himself said that, and it wasn't me, well, maybe it proves that I'm not a shill after all. Maybe it proves that actually it's probably likely to happen. It could be worse than millions. It could be far worse. Japan's economy is very fragile. I mean, Japan has more debt than any other country per capita in the history of mankind. And considering the fact that its number one company, Toyota, has $200 billion in debt, the second most indebted company on the planet, then, well, you can see that Toyota and Japan certainly have a lot to fear and a lot to lose. Thanks for watching.